the voice. Okay, now hopefully this works. So, hello all. It's your Annie friend here. It's your friend Annie here. I will listen that this works now. Oh, this is not working. Why this is not working?
Voice.
Okay, now hopefully this works. So, hello all. It's your Annie friend here. It's your friend Annie here. I don't know what this does. This works now. Okay, now it seems to work. Hello. I'm sorry about this mess in the beginning. I do have a new microphone and it wasn't easy peasy to get everything work, but it should work. So yes, welcome. Today I have a new little presentation for you, and thanks for that to my moderator Doski to putting all that information together. So we're gonna speak about caffeine, withdrawal, pause, and nervous system reset, and dopamine, and I'm gonna just tell how I'm doing here. Next month, 5 years, and 5.5 years. 5 years, 6 months, next month, caffeine-free, all substance-free. I haven't taken anything, nothing, and I'm doing really well, and I'm really excited to share everything for you that I have learned so far. So if you are a new subscriber, welcome to my channel. You will find so many videos about post-acute withdrawals and caffeine quitting support videos in my channel. There are playlists that you can check it out. There is my own journey updated very well, what I have gone through and how this channel began. Like, that's what my channel is all about. But let's go first in the presentation. Hi, Thomas, Kees. Hey, Jaakko. Hi, Mikko. Yes, I'm getting better, but I'm already feeling super good. But I'm still improving, definitely. But I don't know how much this can even improve from here where I'm now, because, I just have constant good energy. I have been able to work out constantly. I just have good mood. And yeah, and all the things that I'm going through in my own life also, it's interesting. All right, so we're gonna dive deep now with the presentation. So I just check here that, because why I still wanna do this and why I keep doing this presentation is that still in our society, caffeine is very underestimated drug, and there are so much people using it daily basis and think it's normal. It's just very normal to have coffee, caffeine everywhere, green tea, chocolate, everything. And not so many people are not knowing that same time there is a lot of people who are trying to navigate through this very hard caffeine withdrawal, post-acute withdrawal process. And a lot of people who end up having this total nervous system reset because they accidentally will quit cold turkey, or they end up quitting cold turkey because they end up having panic attack using caffeine. And then they just end up this journey, which for many people can be and is very debilitating, meaning that they cannot work, they cannot function in normal daily life. They just kind of lose everything because quitting caffeine. And that is all part of this rewiring and healing. But what is the sad thing in this process, that many people, because they don't know that caffeine can actually do this, and yes, caffeine alone can also do this. Even I also speak about that, how important is quit all mind altering drugs, everything that affects dopamine, nicotine, everything is so important to say that, because that's when you get the most best result, of course, what comes to healing. But each on their own, of course. But there's so many people who end up to going to the doctors and even psych awards because they just quit caffeine, and nobody can't help them because they just try to put those people in meds, psych meds, or they say that you just have anxiety disorder suddenly out of the blue. But they don't understand this biochemistry, this neurochemistry that actually are caused by this drug use, this adaptation, what happens during the caffeine use. And for many people, it happens like with years and years and years, and they adapt to that drug. And then when they quit, there they are, and they just don't know what happened to them. So that's why this information is so very important to share. And thank you for asking me that I will do these videos. That always motivates me, of course. So caffeine withdrawal, pause, and nervous system reset, restoring dopamine balance. So why this is so important to understand this dopamine issue in this journey is because low dopamine make things feel more stressful, and now you're gonna learn why. So dopamine and stress regulation. So dopamine isn't just a pleasure. It's also motivational break on the stress response. So this is something that we all have been who are going through this falling off the mountain journey after quitting caffeine. We all get to experience ourselves how it is really the break on the stress response. So normally dopamine signals to the prefrontal cortex, so it's our thinking brain, and the limbic system, which is our emotional center, that challenges are manageable. So when we are just living life, many of us, even on stimulants before, we didn't know any of that, what this stimulant can do to us, and this neurotoxin and cell toxin that caffeine actually are. It's a toxin, it's a pesticide, and nobody shouldn't ingest that. So it's just like we just kind of learn to adapt to function like that. But then what happens if the dopamine is low, and that of course happens with many of us do this time, that there happens that downregulation with these dopamine receptors while we adapt to caffeine, and we don't actually even know how low it gets before we quit the drug. Like then if you quit cold turkey suddenly, and nobody shouldn't quit cold turkey. That's why I always say the safest way is tapering, because I cannot know if somebody get to do this experience what I had to experience because of the cold turkey, that I went through total shock. Like my body went through total nervous system reset shock, which was really, really hard and crazy, and I was just, all the symptoms. And that's why I think that it's so important always me to point out that please go safely, go taper slowly. Even any kind of tapering is better than just cold turkey for many people, because it can really shock the body. Same that with other like drugs or benzos or other SSRI medicines or anything. So when the dopamine is low, the brain has less ability to buffer stress signals, so even small problems feel overwhelming. And this is, we get to the recovery part where everything can feel overwhelming. I speak with people when they contact me, they say that, Anni, I just cannot do anything. They say that they struggle working, they struggle with their mental clarity, they cannot put things together, they cannot put even simple things together. Like for me, I just felt like I was brain injured. That's how bad I felt. I couldn't even read, I couldn't listen to music, I couldn't watch TV, I couldn't stand any kind of stimulation. That's how bad I was in this beginning of my recovery. I couldn't pretty much do anything but pray and pray and wait. All right. So, but that's all temporary. It's temporary. It goes away. It doesn't stay. It doesn't stay like that. So every small problems can feel just overwhelming. The anxiety kicks in, and it's always, when the anxiety kicks in, it always creates doubt. So you are doubting that, are you ever gonna recover? And you are gonna recover. And that it's just a matter of time. When you're not taking anything, you don't back to any kind of caffeine sources, not chocolate, not anything. You don't take any other stimulants, substances, or supplements. With time, you recover. You will recover completely. And that will be even better than before. So link with cortisol. Cortisol, many people know cortisol as a stress hormone, and that's about it. They doesn't understand what is correlation to cortisol and caffeine, or they doesn't know what is correlation with adrenal cortisol and caffeine. So low dopamine means also the HPA axis, which is the stress system, can fire more easily. So we actually need dopamine to dampen down that HPA axis. Like the more we have the natural dopamine we have, our stress system also works really well. But in the withdrawal and post-good withdrawal journey, It's an up and down journey before it gets to the balance. So cortisol and adrenaline go up faster and stay elevated longer. So this makes you feel jittery, anxious, or like everything is too much. Usually when I speak with people, this everything is too much is very common what people feel. And I felt like it just feels that every single voice, every single movement, extra movement, exercise, it's just too much. Your body just are not able to handle all that stress. Suddenly what comes out if you quit cold turkey too fast and you end up this total reset rewiring journey, but it's all is healing. It's not actual injury. I don't believe it's injury because it's more like a reset. So there is a bucket of these, I don't know what these are, hair stuff. I can show you. Like, let's say that these are all these neurotransmitters, and normally when you are in normal state, they are all in balance. They communicate together. This communicates with this, and this communicates with this, and this all communicates with each other. But what happens with the chronic caffeine use, these neurotransmitters, they have to adapt into certain new level, because otherwise you would go crazy or maniac or just lose your mind. So it doesn't happen because our body are very intelligent, and it can like change it can change its structures if it have to because the adaptation. And there comes also the genetic factors. Some of you have been messaging me that, Anni, why then some people have this hard pause and others not? Okay, here we are. We have to think about these genetics that are a little bit different what comes to each everyone's recovery. There are same factors in the recovery, but there are also some differences. So there can be, even naturally, I don't know if I had like maybe lower amount of dopamine receptors anyway, that can also affect. So that would mean that my baseline even would get even lower than maybe someone else who would have maybe more those receptors. I don't know, but what I do know, what happened with this downregulation, the baseline goes just more down, and then you just get to experience all these funny symptoms that are not so funny, but that are part of the healing and part of the going back to that regulation. So it's all that nervous system regulation what's happening. So people with this low dopamine, they often report, like I said, normal tasks feeling like huge obstacles. Like even reading a book can be just not possible. Or going to the store, you cannot leave the house, you fear everything, you fear driving a car, you fear leaving the car, you fear leaving the house, you fear everything basically. And that's very normal in this process, by the way, those of who have this total nervous system reset and who do fall off the mountain. And then other people who don't have this heavy of this journey, of course, they don't need this kind of support that I'm offering. Then if you have just like mild or normal pause, meaning that you just may feel like really down, lethargic, low energy, maybe pains here and there, but you are able to function, work out, then of course your journey is not gonna be so hard than many of us who couldn't even barely do anything. But no matter what your process is, you're gonna heal with time when you just don't go back to taking anything. And that is so important, that you don't go back to take anything. So of course, less resilience to unexpected change. So you cannot, if anything stressful happens to your life, your body just kind of cannot handle that. So you can have stronger emotional reactions to small stressors. Like if somebody like even says you something, the answer in that can be really huge and dramatic in the withdrawal and pause, comparing when you are healed and you are just, oh, that's no big deal. Because you also get to feel so much emotions, because many people doesn't know that caffeine numbs emotions. So many people doesn't know that after they quit caffeine, there can come so much emotion starts to release naturally. It happens naturally. That is that part of the natural trauma release, that when we don't have to do anything, just be. And they you get to feel all these motions, and that can be like even overwhelming when it happens just suddenly, and there so much things starts just rewiring. So it's really good thing. It's really good even it's hard. So yeah, anything little thing can get you kind of out of your mind. It's normal. It won't last. So you need constant stimulation to cope. So this where it comes what happens to many people in this journey. They go take something else, nicotine, sugar, other stimulants. They get addicted to even porn or anything. So this what I wanted to also say, the key in this recovery, if you want to get the most effective and best results, is stay away from everything, all mind-altering drugs, supplements, which can also affect the dopamine system and all the neurotransmitters, which can rebound. If you take any supplements, it can rebound your symptoms really bad, and that's what you don't want to do. That's why I always keep saying that don't take, and I have that rule in my Discord. And I have to be very strict with that, because even there would be people in this journey who can use supplements. Maybe they didn't fall off the mountain, or they don't have this total nervous system regulation, dysregulation, the regulation journey. Even I wouldn't recommend to take anyway, because why would take supplements? They are just marketing. They are just business. We don't actually need them. When we are in the regulating state, we get all the nutrients from the food and we just feel amazing energy. That's my opinion. But I just always want to keep people safe, because I don't order any medical advices, just peer support, natural support. So that's why in my Discord there is nobody cannot like play with. We don't like recommend any supplements. I don't use myself any supplements. I haven't used them for years. I was 2 years off when I also quit processed sugar, like meaning all the candies and ice creams and stuff. I just didn't want to take them. And also all the supplements that I tried. But I was thankful to God that I didn't try much supplements. So and those that I did try, they didn't do anything for me. Only time and staying free from everything was the key. All right. So that's I also wanted to say, because these are just things that need to sometimes, these things need to say all over again, because some people, they just then wonder why I'm not healing so well, and they are still taking something, nicotine or something. And then, of course, if it's their choice, but if you are still taking something, it affects your neurotransmitters and it affects your healing. Okay, so are you still in the chat? Because I don't see if the chat is working or not. Hopefully you are. Yes, Jaakko says, my sleep is amazing these days and I'm not even at 3-year mark. Yes, that's amazing, Jaakko. Congrats and keep it up. So then, like, why? And of course, this will happen when you quit caffeine. You really get to see everything there. You get to see you get to see how much you're craving that dopamine. And this is really interesting, that what happens many people when they quit caffeine versus when people quit alcohol. Many say that they crave alcohol, or when people quit to some other drugs, they say that they crave that drug. But people who do fall off the mountain with caffeine really badly and have this nervous system total reset, they don't crave caffeine. I didn't crave caffeine. I did crave dopamine. Any kind of dopamine I was craving because of that so low baseline. But that gets better with time. So that is then your kind of the zone when you are in that gray area, meaning that you are not in the bad anymore, but you are not in the good yet, that you don't get to go any of these other substances or addictions, because there you can easily start to go there if you just don't know that it gets so much better with time. And that's why this time part is so important to say to people, that they don't start to take anything. So why this happens in caffeine withdrawal and PAWS? So many people say that, yeah, if I ask, what do you know about caffeine withdrawal? Well, if they are on caffeine, they say, no, caffeine withdrawal doesn't exist. It's just like 2 weeks of a little bit headaches, and then you feel completely normal. I'm like, nope, it's actually not. It's actually that people, when they quit caffeine, many of them, they end up very debilitating states, and they have post-acute withdrawals years after that, and it can take long time to recover. Believe it or not, but that's how it is. And if it doesn't happen to you, then good for you. But also remember, even if you wouldn't have hard withdrawals, why would you then want to keep using that? Well, if you know what it is. So withdrawals, hard or not, my recommendation is that don't use that. Don't use that drug. Stay away from that. Okay, so after stimulant use, dopamine receptors are down-regulated. So they are less responsive. They doesn't respond sometimes. They are less responsive. And I always like to say that in my recovery, and I know many others say the same, it just feels that these messages between these neurons when they communicate, and there are electrical messages, and we know that everything in the body is kind of electrical, and that's how the messages go through between those cells and synapses and whatever is happening there. So caffeine, it's like a nerve poison. It actually affects every single nerve in the body. So no wonder people, when they quit caffeine, they have so much this nerve pain and these electrical chaps and feelings and all that. Like in many other drug, like even SSRI withdrawals can have like all kind of electrical feelings. So just know that that's all part of that rewiring process. So the baseline dopamine tone is low until the system resets. So this is what this healing is. It's resetting. Wouldn't it be cool if the doctors would say that this would happen to some people, and then they would go to the doctors, and or doctors would understand and say, yes, this is very normal because you have been using this heavy drug all your life since your childhood, and now you did accidentally quit it cold turkey, and it did shock your body very much, and you have been adapted all those over 30 years of that drug, and now your body just have to rewire itself back to normal, and then you feel amazing again. But that can take a little bit time. Don't take anything, not medication or anything. But they don't say that because they don't understand maybe this, or because medical science does know the dangers of caffeine. It's very known. It has been known over hundreds of years that what caffeine is and what it does, because we know that. So until the system resets, stress feels amplified because the normal stress dampening effects of the dopamine isn't working well. So your HP axis, the stress system, HP axis, will have to also get back to balance. And in the end, so yes, low dopamine doesn't just reduce pleasure, it removes the buffer against stress, making life feel harsher and more chaotic. So there we go. There we did go. So that was like just a little bit reassuring presentation for you. You know that I have been doing many of those what PAWS are, and going more in that what happened in all of those neurotransmitters and how they work in together. But we don't all have to know even everything of that. The most important what we do have to know is that it's time that does heal, and that you don't start to take anything, and you just like give it time. Try to keep your diet clean. Eat healthy, don't eat processed foods, drink a lot of water, try to avoid stress, move a little bit if you can, work out if you can. That's amazing if you can work out, or if you have workout intolerance like I did that 5 years, then you just have to take it easy and do more or less. Like I did still do a little bit workouts then in my journey, but I have to do it really like moderation, really much moderation, because every time I did too much, it did cause me symptoms, and my symptoms did ramp up, meaning I had that dizziness, panic, feeling weird and weak. Hi, Chris. Welcome. And then also, okay, so I want to just say, now because we have to speak a little bit about the insulin resistance and why so many people have this insulin resistance problem in this quitting caffeine journey, and why so many people have problems their energy and they just have to eat and they cannot fast and they just feel when they eat they don't feel like really good and full and satisfied. They feel a little bit weird, they have stomach issues, they feel that whatever they eat it doesn't really give their energy, they have to nap. I was one of the most biggest napper in this journey. I always had to nap up till 5 years. Now I don't nap anymore. I just don't need nap. It's weird. It's just like I don't need nap. I'm just having good energy. So I always needed to nap, or otherwise if I didn't nap, I felt like my brain was go crazy, or that if I didn't nap, it felt like I just couldn't do anything. And then when I did nap, it almost felt it restored those dopamine stuff a little bit, and then I was able to function rest of the day. Sleep, really huge issue, that you will wake up during the nighttime is also due to dopamine. You have to move your legs, restless legs, akathisia. You have to move your body. That inner restlessness is really common in this. And I had that long time. And now I just feel so peace. It's so nice. So, okay, so we're gonna start a little bit. I just tell my own words. I don't know if this happens to everyone, but it happens a lot of people when I speak with. So the one reason that you cannot fast also in this journey is because these stress hormones are high because of the rewiring process. So fasting can raise also the stress hormones. So that's why your body can just feel really weird if you try to fast, or if you used to was able to do intermittent fasting like I was, and then in the recovery, I just wasn't. I was just feeling really agitated and like anxiety to go off the roof. Now I can do it again without no problems. So I think, and this is not, because I think this is a whole cellular healing. I think it's pretty much in 7 years all the cells renew in the body, and then it's just like they keep renewing. And this is how I see it, because every single cell carries information, and there is those energy centers, those mitochondria in our cells that caffeine is directly affecting. It's directly affecting inside every cell because it's affecting that chemical balance in every single cell. So why people who have insulin resistance while they are on caffeine usually end up taking more caffeine, which makes the insulin resistance even worse. But because they are on caffeine all the time, they don't get to see their actual state until they quit caffeine. And that's like can happen very many. Like you can actually have these ongoing issues on when you're on caffeine, but because you just keep drinking it, you don't really know your real state. But when you quit caffeine and when you are rewiring back to normal, many of us, we did experience that insulin resistance, meaning that it doesn't feel that glucose, when you eat, you get that glucose and it should go inside the cell. And when it goes inside the cell, you get energy, you feel good, you have energy, you can do what you want. So I didn't never feel like that glucose was full going to my cells, because I always needed to like eat, and like I just felt like I couldn't, like processed sugar was like, it was like bad for me. It was also like affecting like the symptoms and kind of like ramping up the symptoms, because it's also a stimulant and it also can affect that how the insulin works, of course. Because let's make it clear and the common sense. If the insulin, like if the glucose doesn't go fully in the cells in this process, then you don't feel that good energy. Then you can feel that lethargy feeling or down feeling or just tired feeling, because your energy production is not functioning like it should function. Like think about the kids. When you look up the kids when they wake up, they just wake up, then they have like energy, they can do whatever they want, and then they go to the bed and then they restore. And I think that's how it should be, like with us adults too. Like we shouldn't just lose that ability like suddenly, that it just goes away and we suddenly become like tired. There is something that we actually do messing up with that. That's my opinion. You can be thinking differently, but I think that really that substances are really huge reason why our population is very sick. And I mean now all the substances, of course, like all the drugs, all the mind-altering drugs, and caffeine is a mind-altering drug. It also is a drug. And I don't think we get to anywhere in this conversation what comes to drugs, never fully and understand why people are not fully healing from many issues if they doesn't understand that caffeine is also a drug. Because it's still in the child's shoes what comes to this conversation with caffeine. Usually it just makes people angry. But that's how it is, and there is information about that plenty if people just wanted to dive into that. So that's what I experienced about the energy stuff, and now it seems that when I eat, energy comes from the food, and I don't need to eat so much anymore, which is really, really nice and helpful also because I'm working out. So yeah, so pretty excited I am. And also a little bit, what is that word? Excited and confused a little bit same time, because of course I would like that this would last forever. And what I have heard many other people who have been in the same state where I am, that they have just said now they are like in their, many years, 6 years, 7 years, they have just said that it just have been keeping improving. And moikka Maikku, mä teen suomeksi tämän saman esitelmän kyllä, joten ei huolta. Tulen tekemään suomeksi tämän saman infon. I will do for Finnish the same. But, it's just, when you go through this kind of journey, which of course many people are not going through, and thank God for that. I really thank Lord that nobody shouldn't really go this so hard way. But again, some of us just have to, and just how it is. And now I'm actually grateful that I did too, because otherwise I would probably still be using caffeine. So it's just like mind-blowing that you go through all this journey, and then when your symptoms really stop and you get the point that you can actually do all those favorite things that you have wanted to do, and you have been waiting so long. Like I have waited that working out, so long, because that I'm passionate about that. And even my knee is still, like I injured in summer this right knee, and I know that I cannot still fully squat with the weights. So that's okay. Even with that, it was stress, of course, the body. It took me like about 2 to 3 weeks to be able to walk. And after that, the walking was still like bubble. It wasn't like the knee wasn't carrying my leg, like probably. And then I was just like, I have been now rehabbing it every day. I called it the cold exposure also, and it's been really good. So even with that, even with this injured knee, I'm still going to the gym. I'm still doing the exercises. I'm able to do those. I have motivation and consistent. And what I do love about now this journey, what happens with time, and I know many of you who are listening, you are struggling this still, that you don't have that stable energy every day the same. It's not every day the same. So if you don't have the everyday that you feel the good energy, like meaning that of course you have to have, if you have normal dopamine, you have to, when you do something, you have to have that down. I don't mean that you don't have that, but when I mean down, it just means like normally just relax, your muscles are sore, tired if you work out, but not anything feeling weird, not panic, not dizziness, not brain fog. If you have those symptoms, those are still healing symptoms. Those are healing symptoms that comes with this journey. Meaning that when you do something, it's not still like constant. Like for me, it was like I never could know what the next day would bring. I never could plan really things because I couldn't know if I'm gonna be next day in the bed, or if I'm gonna feel panicky, or if I'm gonna feel those weird electrical feelings in my head, or whatever I'm gonna feel. And of course, you can of course just do things anyway and not kind of care about those things because they are not dangerous. But I will say, if you are like me and you just had really like sensitized nervous system during this and you did feel every single thing, it's just not so easy that, okay, just go ahead and do all the normal things, because it just doesn't work like that. When the messages doesn't go through as they supposed to go through and communicate, it's impossible. It's almost impossible to do things. I don't know if that makes sense. But now you can ask questions, whatever you have, and yes, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. That's pretty. I know that my presentation probably sound weird for people who don't experience like this. Then these don't make any sense. Like, of course they don't make any sense, but even if this doesn't make any sense, I would hope that this education would spread, because there is so many kids now with these energy drinks. I see those kids in the gym every single day. They drink tons of energy drinks during their workouts, and they're gonna be in my future customers. I have to say that some of those yes will be, because when you are young, and our world now, it's full of stimulation. It's full of stimulation. Internet, everywhere, phones, porn, caffeine, all kind of other drugs. Stimulation. We are stimulated society. So that's why this dopamine information and this caffeine information and stimulation information have to be out there, because kids nowadays, they are stimulated in every single direction. They're almost like living in that kind of stimulation bubble. And nobody seems to like a kind of, yeah, they speak about this dopamine reset and it's really good, the dopamine reset. But if you speak about dopamine reset, you have to add caffeine in that reset. They leave caffeine out of that dopamine detox. That doesn't make any sense, because it's the most dangerous drug in that sense, that how it affects the brain and the body in long term and the dopamine system. You cannot just leave caffeine out there. No, it doesn't work like that. Actually, many people, caffeine is a gay drug, and that's why they end up using also other drugs too. Caffeine and porn also, for some people, they go hand in hand, or some other addictions. Caffeine leads to, some people say that caffeine did lead them to use alcohol, because they didn't know that their nervous system was like, they were just so restlessness, so they started to think that, oh, I need some alcohol to calm my nerves. But they didn't actually know why they were so restless. They maybe just think that, oh, this is how I am, or maybe it's my work, or maybe it's my family, or maybe it's everything. Or but let's see, like, caffeine works with, like, if you have any kind of other stressors in your life. Let's say that your nervous system would be already dysregulated for your years. Like, let's say that you would have all kind of dysregulated nervous system affecting things, and then you also are caffeine addict. It's almost like you pour the stress. Do you want to do, like, okay, I will say like this: do you want to pour the stress chemically, like, in your body? If you do want to do that, then drink caffeine, because that is the easiest way to pour pure stress, put your body in that pure stress. Of course, I don't recommend to do that to anyone, but meaning, hey, I will show you a good video. This is about the psych meds, but we can also turn this video to that this is how the caffeine works. I just have to find it here. Wait a second. But yes, so. And of course, the healing journey, like, it is individual for everyone. But I know some of you are still there, like, healing behind me. So for you, especially, I want to do these reassurance videos, because you have become my friends also during this journey. But Wait a minute, I will try to find that video. Hi, Jesse. Hello. Welcome. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna go there. And we're gonna go to winter capture. So we're gonna look this one.
Hello and welcome back. Now, it's been called a crisis that's hiding in plain sight. Antidepressants are taken by hundreds of millions of people. And it's leading to concern that society is becoming over-medicalised, especially as many find it difficult to wean themselves off them after they have been prescribed. Well, let's speak now to the clinical psychologist and author, Dr. Anders Sorensen. Dr. Sorensen, thank you for being with us this morning. So what is the difficulty that people face trying to come off antidepressants?
Yeah, so withdrawal, basically, and resurfacing emotions numbed by the drugs. So it turns out these drugs can be really hard to come off once that day comes. And very importantly, in a way that could easily make it look like a relapse if you do it too quickly. Mm-hmm. That's the primary problem. And I should add, that includes following the current guidelines, which are very aggressive, very fast. So I would say, following the data, it's really important not to follow those, actually, because they're too fast and haven't been updated, most of them in years. So problem is most people today aren't told that withdrawal and relapse can look the same. It's basically the overlap in symptoms of coming off too fast and of having a relapse. That's a problem. But since most people aren't told still, even though we have the data, most people jump straight to the conclusion that they're having a relapse when they deteriorate once they try to come off. And that just keeps the story going of them still being effective. Yeah.
And doctor, why is it so difficult when people stop taking it? What is it about these antidepressants that make it really hard?
So it's a pretty basic mechanism, if you ask me.
And now pay attention what he says, because this same happens with caffeine. Caffeine is also a drug.
It just means the body comes to adapt. It comes to expect the drug if you take it long term in a way that you can't just remove it and expect to get a clear window into how you feel without the drug. There's this withdrawal phase. So withdrawal is really just the body trying to communicate to you that you've removed the drug too fast. And what withdrawal symptoms are trying to tell us, their message is to go slower. So
is it different to being addicted to something?
Yes, very, yes.
Describe how.
We would call this dependence, physiological dependence. It just means that if you introduce something to the body for long enough time, it comes to expect it in a way that it now reacts if it doesn't get the drug. So we're calling this dependence. It just means that your body is now dependent to the level of chemicals in your brain that the drug has caused. And then that's what makes it cause withdrawal. And that's really what tapering comes in. What we do, which is what my PhD and my recent book is about, is then how to taper off these drugs, gradually and slowly, sometimes over years. And then I'll tell you, it can be like not.
Okay. Pause there. And hi, Jesse. Yes, Jesse say, I totally believe that caffeine acts like an antidepressant heavily for us based on our neurochemistry. Yes, I totally agree that too. So like he said, he recommends even tapering for some people years. And think about many of us who have been using this heavy drug caffeine like over 30 years, and we didn't know anything, and really heavy doses, and then we did cold turkey, and it was a huge shock to the nervous system for many. That's why this information should be there. And also, I think, Jesse, we're gonna make with you that kind of tapering guide to my Discord, that how to taper safely, because that will be also so important people to have.
Night and day compared to just stopping and tapering slower.
Yeah, so I'm quite interested. You're saying if people want to come off, obviously they have that conversation with their GP.
Of course.
But you say that it's a drip feed. You do it slowly over time, potentially even years.
Yeah. So the story basically is we've been selling cars without brakes because the standard available doses that you can buy at the pharmacy, even if you halve them and halve them again, we can see this in brain scans. The effect of that dose is still very, very high, meaning that the way we tape them is to actually go below the lowest possible dose. So that's where we need to weigh it or dissolve it and use syringes to get small enough doses. Because the doses you can buy are really, the effect of them is too large for you to just jump all the way down to zero.
I mean, the effect of them is too large because they're effective. They do work for people that have issues with anxiety, with depression, etc.
So that's...
Sorry. The question I'm trying to get to is for lots of people, these are part of their lifestyle. They
Of
take
course.
them all the time, and perhaps, I mean, I guess everyone would want to come off the medication, but perhaps some people don't.
Okay, and he said like these are some people take them all the time. It's part of their daily life. Yeah, it is. We know it is. But also caffeine, it's an antidepressant. It works like antidepressant, and many people take it all the time daily. They have adapted to that. So we're gonna go to see how this stuff numbs also our emotions, but we will watch this all video.
Actually want to come off the medication. It makes
Of
them
course,
better.
lots of people don't want to, and that's why my work and my book also is about both things. It's about the coming off part, like the
Yes.
technicalities of tapering. It turns out that the body wants these drugs to leave it in a certain way, very, very slowly, sometimes over years. But the other part, you're exactly right, which is also why I'm sitting here as a clinical psychologist doing the emotional work. Like, these drugs are pretty primitive in how they work. They basically just numb our emotions or distort them or produce some distance to them.
Okay, so that guy knows what he's speaking about. I'm really happy with this video because that's what happens to caffeine too. It numbs our emotions, and it can be really hard to process emotions or do any kind of therapy work while you are on caffeine, or it can seem that it doesn't really go anywhere like it's supposed to go.
Which can be really appealing if you really feel horrible inside. So if you remove the lid, obviously what's there, what was numbed, will come back. You get your full range of emotions back. So part of this work is about helping people come off it, and then the other part is helping people stay off it. And emotions and thoughts are strong forces. Like, imagine having had those at a distance for months, maybe in years, and then them coming back. There is some emotion regulation and some therapeutic work, I wouldn't even say that.
Look, there's been a jump, hasn't there, in doctors prescribing
Yeah.
antidepressants. Do you think they're giving out too easily?
I think they are given out too easily, yeah. I think the alternative would be, well, I'm not to judge anyone who wanted to use whatever strategy to solve their crisis. I just think people should be more informed. Like, a problem now is that people aren't told, even though we have the data. It was like that with the benzodiazepines. It was like that with the opioids. This is not a new story. We have the data on how difficult they can be to come off, but it takes years, sometimes decades, to get it into the guidelines. So that's really, I'm not against drugs or anything. It makes perfect sense that numbing your emotions or creating some distance will be appealing. But yes, I should add, I'd like to see more clinicians and doctors trying to figure out why their patients are depressed, figuring out, as I would do in therapy, try to make sense of it. Like, what can we look at in your life and in your history that makes this give sense to how you're feeling?
So offering talking therapy.
Yeah, or at least just figure out, just the question that's left out sometime when we give drugs too fast is why you're depressed. The why is missing. So I could want more doctors to.
Interesting.
that.
Just last week I was speaking to Dr. David Nutt. We were talking about psilocybin and other psychoactive drugs that he gave me this new word that I've never heard of before, neuroplasticity, where those kind of drugs activate pathways in the brain that are different, and it can be useful alongside the talking therapy.
Yeah.
So you describe the antidepressants as just being a numbing, as a sort of a blocking off.
Yeah.
There's another way of thinking about the way that our brains work, isn't there, that perhaps requires more work, but the problem is that it's probably more costly, isn't it?
There sure is. And I should add, like, the numbing effect of psychiatric drugs, not just antidepressants, but all of them, the main story is that it can be easier to do therapy once you have your emotions at a distance. So that's the idea, that therapy and medication go hand in hand. But I could just as often see it as being part of the problem, really.
Yep.
Honestly, if I should do my therapeutic work on someone heavily medicated, it's really difficult, because where are those emotions that I'm taught? My training is about how to get to the core of that. So, where I come from, the goal is not necessarily to rid ourselves of distress or pain. It's to figure out why it's there.
Now I want to share very important note that I have noticed sometimes, and I did notice this for myself now when I look back. Some people that I know who are heavily on caffeine, I have noticed that sometimes when I communicate with them and they try to cry, they cry a little bit, but it almost seems that they try to cry, cry, but it almost seems that it really doesn't go out like fully. And this is very interesting, because I had the same issue, even I didn't know it back then on caffeine, that my emotions that came out with caffeine was mostly like rage or yelling or angriness or just frustration, or sometimes I try to cry, but it's almost like feel that when you are in constant state of that stress and numbing your emotions, there's a lot of things that you get to just restore inside, and then after you quit the drug and you don't take anything, those emotions naturally started to flow. And that is part of also the healing process after quitting caffeine and all mind-altering drugs. Hi, Luke. It's not surprising that mainstream data doesn't acknowledge the neurotoxicity of caffeine. They actually have the audacity to promote its protective properties. Insane. Yes, very well said, Luke. Thank you for sharing. That is exactly how it is.
As a way to then resolve it. And that work really can be difficult on drugs. I know it sounds ironic, but it can be difficult to do the therapy once you're medicated, even though the drug, if you ask the person, feels like a help.
I mean, these drugs were probably seen 20, 30 years ago, maybe longer, as a bit of a wonder drug to be able to solve people's crises. Are you sensing from your work that there has been a change in the medical industry, that people are now starting to see that there are other pathways? I mean, specifically, as we mentioned here, talking therapy, to be able to have someone actually take you through some of your issues.
Yeah, and figure out why you're depressed. Exactly. I think it's going that way, but you know, psychiatry really is a long story, but psychiatry really wanted to have their biomarkers, their you know, what they were treating, basically. Psychiatry is one of the last specialties that got that, and we can discuss if they still have it or not. So they kind of, you know, build that story around these medications, that they fix chemical imbalances and do something very specific in the brain, and we even call it antidepressants, like so. But that's not how they work. So it's not that they with surgical precision enter the brain and remove the depression or the anxiety or the psychosis. They numb all sorts of things. Also things you don't want numbed, and that's really where most people would.
He said they numbs all sort of things. Caffeine does the same. It numbs all sort of things.
Want to come off, and I think there is a change back to the original way of thinking about how these drugs work.
Dr. Anders Sorensen, really good to speak with you.
Thank you.
Really interesting. Thank you so much.
All right. So, guys, caffeine is really underestimated drug, and I will just put the chat there if anyone wants to say something that you think about this video, because like now we get this conversation that we should also be having this same conversation with caffeine, and this information should be out there, because I think, and this is just my own thoughts also, that many people will actually end up taking some kind of psychiatric medications because of caffeine. Because let's say that you have been using caffeine all your life since childhood, like I was, and many other who are helped, and they get to have this anxiety, OCD, depression. They just think that, oh, why I'm suddenly feel just anxious, depressed, or okay, I know some people doesn't have anxiety like while they are using, or maybe they did, but they just didn't kind of notice it. But some people do have that. So then, like on caffeine also, and then you get to go to the doctors. Like when I was young, I did go to therapy, and they did describe me those SSRI medications, and they even tried the benzos, and thank God I was able to come up from those, that I didn't have PAWS. But you know, it can be because of caffeine why you have to start taking those. And even Stephen Chernisk says in the Caffeine Blues that many people, if they would come to the therapist, their therapist should say them first, are you using caffeine? Because he said in the book that many people's anxiety would be resolved just quitting caffeine and all the mind-altering drugs. So think about that. It's just been solved and no need for any medications. And now I think many people just think that I'm some kind of anti this, anti that, and I'm kind of am, but I'm not here to give any medical advices. I'm just sharing this really important information, what I have been learning in my own recovery, and and that I get to learn all the time when I'm helping other people going through this process. And I, of course, hope that this information will help you too. Yes, for me, it was like taking an antidepressant since I was 13 years old. My emotions were numbed for sure. I always wondered why people were crying over certain things. Now I can feel them emotions. Yes. So cool, Jesse. Isn't it so cool that when we get to feel those emotions, even it of course it can feel heavy, and I understand that. I also felt it almost felt like it took so much energy from my body because it was healing to also go through all these emotions. And even when I was doing live, sometimes I was just, I don't know, crying, and then people get to hear the comment things and why are you crying, or why are you so angry, and why are you so frustrated and stuff. And I couldn't really regulate yet. Like even in my 2 years, I was still, my nervous system was still so sensitized. Then when I was here in my YouTube, I was kind of um I couldn't just relax like now. I was just, when your nervous system is in that fight or flight state, it's almost like sometimes you feel too maniac. Sometimes you just feel too excited. Like it's I don't know how to explain. Like, who go through this. Sometimes when you have this, it almost feel like too much dopamine, and then you just feel like agitated, and you just want to share and share and talk and talk. And then sometimes you just feel really negative. It's really common that in this journey, many people, when the anxiety hits in those windows and waves, and however your journey goes, some people doesn't have so much windows and waves, it's just more constant. And then some people have those windows and waves throughout the days, like throughout the day, like I had like those windows and waves during the day, like during the day those did goes. And sometimes I had those like windows where I was having more those windows and waves during the days, like meaning that even if you are in the window, you can have waves, but even if you are in the wave, you can have small windows. I just want to say that the healing, it's up and down. But anyhow, so sometimes it was just really hard if I was planning to do, for example, some kind of presentation, and then I just started to talk, and then I get that feeling of almost too excited, and I didn't just know how to handle with that, because the brain handles how it handles things. It's not something that you can really do with that. And then sometimes I just was really negative and crying, and so then it can seem for other people like that person is just like mentally ill, or that person is just very like dysregulated. But that was part of the healing. Like that's how the healing goes, and that's why I think many people, when they are in this journey, they don't want to do videos. Like even Kato did his videos, I think the first video in 3 years, and like he shared in that last video that it took him a long time to heal. So, and I'm really happy that he said that. So it's just like, when you don't feel comfortable, or if you always feel something that your brain is doing something, and like one person said to me very well that, Anni, it feels like there is always something always something going on. And I'm like, yeah, exactly, like exactly that's how it feels in healing, that your brain, there's always something weird going on, that there's never just that peace and that emptiness when you just can relax and do what you are doing, and just concentrate fully what you are doing, or concentrate what the if you are communicating with the other people, you can actually communicate with them and interact with them, and you don't have those intrusive thoughts or worrying or scaring thoughts in your mind, that why I feel this, or why I feel that, or what is this sound, or what that people are thinking. Like, when the racing thoughts can come up. So that's how it can feel, and that's normal in the recovery. It will ease. So yes, especially as it's trying to regulate in the brain, can be extremely heavy. Felt like someone died over and over, but I lost a lot of family since 13 that I was close to. Now I wonder if my body's trying to catch up. Yes, for sure it's trying to catch up, and sorry about your loss. And definitely there is so many things that it's catching up, and that's where I'm kind of now, that I had a lot of life to catch up, meaning the just doing simple things, feeling good doing them. I don't say that, okay, let's say that you are in wherever you are in your journey. Let's say that some of you are in your first year, you still have a lot of symptoms, and you take your car if you are able to drive, and you go to take your kids in the daycare, or if you have kids, or if you don't have kids, let's say that you take your car and you drive to supermarket and buy food. Like, as simple as that. Like, who would ever think before this journey that going a supermarket buying in food can be a real weird experience, and it can be actually be challenging experience, and it can be actually be that you cannot even do that in the beginning. So then when you get the other side of the recovery, meaning that you don't have symptoms anymore and you feel good and energized, you get to the phase that I'm just, wow, this is really happening. Like, this is really happening. Like, I'm able to do this stuff without feeling bad or weird. And that itself, I think it takes a little bit while to that I can like understand that, because I was used to already, because this took long time for me, so I was almost used to that up and down. Like, I didn't want to use to that. I was always like thinking that I'm gonna always have in my periods these weird things, or am I gonna always have these hormonal issues, or but no, it's not. It's not. It's like those hormones are also uh, communicating with other neurotransmitters and with dopamine. Estrogen works with dopamine. Progesterone and estrogen, they work together in this journey. That's why for us women, many times periods are hard, ovulation is hard, a lot of brain symptoms in ovulation, and periods is like very uncomfortable symptoms, crying, moodiness. And anyway, in periods are time for women when you get to experience more that detox. So it is an interesting journey for sure, but it's all good for me now, and I'm so thankful, and I'm happy that I decided to continue these videos. I have a little bit crisis with that, but because you did hope this, so that will motivate me. So thank you for hoping these videos, and I'm excited. So yes, paranoia beginning. Yeah, I can tell you one crazy thing in my journey. I think I was a little bit I think I was in around 2 years, maybe a little bit before 2 years, and I needed to buy myself shoes. And I didn't really like to be in the mall at that time. Like, even now I could go just in the mall and just sit there and relax and watch people and whatever. But then in my 2 years, I had like all the time that weirdness feeling that something bad is gonna happen, or just feeling anxiety, intrusive thoughts. And then I went to the mall and I bought the shoes, and I have that really like what is that, heavy jacket on me because it was winter and it was cold. And there was that jacket that I did put like up here, like very tightly in my that I couldn't take it away. And then I had a panic attack. Like I had those so many, and I had panic attack, so I had to run over like to the mall. So I did run there in the yard, and then I was feeling that I have to rip my skin off myself. Like, the feeling when you feel like you have to rip your skin. I know it can. That's how many people feel in this. So I had, because I couldn't take the jacket off, so I have to rip that jacket, like that really new fine jacket. I have to start to rip that out of myself, and that sure did look like crazy people. Like, that sure did look like crazy people there in the yard just ripping off the jacket. But I was having panic attack, so that's what I did. So, but that panic attack did go away. So it was just everything. It was so weird, like those panic attacks, I didn't like panic attacks. Let's speak about little bit panic attacks before I go, because panic attacks are something that many of us who go through this what is the word? Unfortunately, I was saying it opposite way. So unfortunately, you have to experience some of you panic attacks, especially in the beginning, and some of us they just did go also sometimes longer in the journey. The panic attacks happen. So panic attack in this withdrawal journey can feel like almost like it feels like something's gonna get you, like you just feel that, I don't know, for me, I share my experience. Feel like something bad just gonna happen and I just suddenly feel like having a heart attack. And usually for me, when the panic attack comes, I just feel like I have to move. Like I cannot just sit still here. Like if I would have a panic attack, I would just need to, move and go somewhere and just, I don't know, like that's just like really like bad feeling that you think that you're gonna die, but you don't die. And I give you a little tip if you have panic attacks and if you are thinking about that something bad is happen, put a timer, because panic attacks usually doesn't last over 30 minutes. It's usually 20 to 30 minutes when panic attacks is out. So you can sometimes, if you have panic attack, you see this video, Anni said that, okay, I don't need to panic. I just have panic attack, so I can put a timer and wait. So after 30 minutes, that panic attack will be eased. So it's always those panic attacks. But I know when I speak with people who are having panic attacks, it seems that they always say that, Annie, I cannot handle this, or I'm just dying, or maybe they go already ER. I know that is very normal that people go into the ER because it just feels so scary, and they just go ER anyway because of that terror and what is beginning. That is very common. But now at least you know that this can happen with caffeine, so then you just know that that will go away with time. And as scary as it can be, you are not alone. And I also next week start to do these supports chats in the Discord. I have that own Discord support group for caffeine quitters, and everybody is there warmly welcome if you're going through these symptoms. And in those chats, you can just share, and I help you go through those moments. So yes, guys, this is pretty much what I wanted to share in this live. And now, if you have anything, I just hang here a little bit and see if the chat wants to speak something. So, cool. Cool. And we're gonna some point do, of course, with Mandy, we're gonna sometimes do videos. I love to do videos with Mandy, and we're gonna do all kind of maybe different topics. And then of course I have my own other topics that I'm doing here, like the Bible readings, and I also will today end up this live with the Lord's Prayer. But yeah, and the gym workout videos will be doing more and more in the future when I get to the shape. I think I have little bit cortisol belly left. Okay, I have probably a little bit, but I think that also will ease with time, because yeah, let's speak about weight a little bit. I know some of you if you are in a bad state, you don't, weight is like the smallest worry. It really is the smallest worry. Like who cares about weight, because that goes back to the normal when you heal. But I did lose weight. Like I just lost a lot of weight in those first months, and then later I gained, because like I speak about, that energy production didn't work normally. So every time I tried to work out, I started to gain weight and have cortisol belly. Because what happens when your body is stressed, it doesn't burn fat. It actually starts to restore fat, because your body is like, hey, we are in the stress state. That's how it's have to do in the survival. So it wasn't really nice because I'm not very heavy in other places. Like I always been kind of like, no, I'm not being skinny, but normal weight. But then you get to have cortisol belly and cortisol hips. So then I think like I don't know how long it's gonna like for you take your weight go normal, but for me I think it's gonna be soon that I'm pretty much in the good weight. Like of course when I'm in the gym the weight can actually go up, but you shouldn't always look just the scale. Look how your body looks in the mirror, and if you are able to gain muscles, that also is good sign if you are able to gain muscles, because I couldn't like in the recovery when I was still having that high anxiety, I couldn't really gain muscles. Like I was like, this is weird. Why I cannot gain muscle? But of course you cannot gain muscle, because if you are still healing, rewiring, that is not the first thing your body is like doing. It's doing more other important stuff. And then later you are able to start to gain muscle, and when your body and nervous system goes in that parasympathetic state. It's so important that in this journey what you have to understand that when your nervous system goes back to regulation, it's mostly there in the parasympathetic state. Most of the day your nervous system will be there in the parasympathetic state, because you don't take anything to ramp up that stress. And then when you do, like for exercise, it's natural stressor. It's good stressor. It's good to rewire those dopamine system naturally. But why it doesn't work in the beginning months or beginning years, it's just because your body is not just ready yet. It's not you're ready. The recovery it's not far enough. But then when the recovery goes more farther, you will get to see that you are able to do more and you are able to tolerate more stress. But which is weird in this journey, that this nervous system reset, and everybody of course is different in this journey, but if you do have this total nervous system reset, you have to kind of start to like deal with stress like 0 point. Like first you don't deal any stress, like it's almost like a little baby, like you don't deal any stress, like even speaking, no, anything. and and then with time your nervous system kind of regulates and it learns to deal with stress. But the horrible thing in that in the beginning is that you are aware of everything that happens. It's almost feel like you are aware all that craziness, that neurochemical storm that you have, but you kind of cannot do anything about it. So that I think for me at least was the most craziest experience ever. And I haven't ever I honestly say I haven't ever in my life experienced anything like this recovery. Nothing. Like nothing wasn't be like this. I promised. Like, and I don't think I have prayed to God that please, I don't ever want to go through this again. These 5 years was enough. And I know that I won't, because I will never touch that poison again, ever. And I hope that you want to if you are in this journey. But anyway, you do heal, you will recover, and just know that those healing symptoms are healing symptoms. Symptoms are healing symptoms. And if you have to check yourself in the medical doctor, do that if that comes your mind. Check your blood test if that comes your mind. For me it calmed my mind a little bit in that moment when I did check my heart. Oh, there's in chat. So yes, the akathisia, but it's like the lights and sound is too much. Yes, almost like akathisia, what benzo people say, but also I think the stimulant withdrawal, it can be a little bit different. I don't know if that's different, but for me it was like more like even the music was like too much, and then the restless legs at night time. Definitely stimulant withdrawal, it's on its own journey, but but all withdrawals can be really challenging. And then some of you, I know that you are quitting alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, weed, porn. Oh my goodness, you are champions. Like, how can, like, I know that can be really tough. Like, and just know if you cannot quit everything, then you quit what you can, and just don't worry about that. You will be someday. So in that process, you get to feel all that recovery. So definitely, it's a challenging for many. I know, but you will get there. So 8 people watching this, do you have anything on your mind? Anything, like you can ask anything now. Like, I don't have so much hurry. And I will definitely do finish live this. It's so weird. Sometimes people don't want me to do these lives in Finnish, and sometimes people want. But I'm happy that now there are people also who wants to hear these lives. And of course, for those, I will do that this content. Yippee! Yippee yihoo! It's so weird. I don't have any negative to say now. Like, I don't have any negative. Like, it's just like good. Even I know that I have a lot of challenges coming, like what comes to this life itself, and all kind of things. But I will just trust God. I will trust God. Like, if you don't have anxiety, you pretty much I don't know. It's weird. If I think even if you don't have anxiety, even if you did go to the jail, or if you did go, I don't know. It's just weird. If you don't have anxiety, you're able to be pretty happy. It's weird. Even in challenging situations, you are able to be positive. It's weird. It really is cool. Oh yes, when you feel you started gaining weight back? I started gaining my weight back after 2 years. Like, I started gaining weight, and then I have that good period where I was going in the gym, and I have a good window there. But then I had my tsunami wave in that 35 months where I did lose weight again. I was really skinny in that wave. So then after that, it just have been progressing. After that tsunami wave, I haven't had anything like that. Nothing like that anymore. Like, I have had my waves, of course, but nothing like that. So, like, after 2 years, I was started to gain more weight, but then I had tsunami where I'd lose again, and then after that, I have been gaining, gaining. What is that? Bulking. I don't want to be bulking. No, 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 no bulking. Just normal. I just want to. I think I have scale there, but I don't want to scale myself all the time. Just, I think when you just eat healthy and you exercise, it doesn't rocket science. Your body just go in its normal weight, but it should be. I don't think it's any rocket science. Like, even like working out or anything, it shouldn't be any rocket science. Podarian. No, I don't be bulking, Anni. Yeah, that'd be weird. Who knows? Bulk up for the winter. Yes. Yeah, I will say, like, yeah, I don't eat now drink the raw milk anymore, because that was definitely bulking me up. Like, raw milk, I if you wanna bulk drink milk, but I just not. I'm not. I'm not drinking it anymore. It was definitely bulking. But yeah, so I guess it depends on the person what comes to foods, and we can talk about a little bit of foods. Like, I have said that in the recovery, gluten and dairy was like, no way, I couldn't. I just know, because I have lactose intolerance. But okay, if I want to have dairy now, I can have it, but then I just have probably bloating and gas and those. So I will now. I just don't have it. Like, maybe sometimes I can have cheese in the pizza if I want, but I can do good without. So basically what I'm now have been eating is chicken, then some potatoes, some fruits like bananas, apples. Then I eat eggs every day. So eggs are something that it works for me. Like the breakfast is basically eggs and some banana before the gym. Like I showed in that video, but don't watch how I make. I actually have now the better frying pan, so I don't burn those in the pan. So like I did in the video. But yeah, so eggs and chicken are pretty much the meats, the protein, and then sometimes beef. Yeah, and then I eat some like carrots and some veggies, like freezed veggies, and then I have a lot of those berries that I have picked. So I eat blueberries pretty much every day. I don't eat processed sugar. I just try to avoid that in any, like, of course I know that sometimes they put that in, like if you go in the restaurant, even in the ketchup there can be added sugar. But even myself now in home I have a ketchup which is not, there is not added sugar in that. So I just try to that's just my choice. I don't want to go back to sugar because sugar for me was really addictive. So I was also a sugar addict when I was a caffeine addict. So it just don't do good for me. So fruit sugar, and this is something that I have experienced, like sugar what comes from me, bananas or blueberries, it doesn't spike my sugar the same way. It doesn't make me that weirdness feeling. So it just I think I could deal probably now sugar. I could have it, like even Riku sometimes say that you can have it now, like if you would want. Yeah, I could have it if I would want, but I just rather not. I just wanna eat healthy. So it's just, of course, when your nervous system will regulate, you have that more food freedom in that sense. But then it's just up to you as a person what kind of diet you wanna follow, or if you wanna follow any diet, like that's up to you. But you will do heal. I made chicken crust pizza yesterday. Was really good actually. For sure. Wow. I haven't never made chicken crust pizza. Maybe you wanna share a recipe. Is it just like you put those chicken in there? Or does it, what else do you put there? It's so hard there to not have gluten because it's in everything ever or sauces. Yes, they put that too in a lot of. Actually, here it's pretty easy to be without gluten. I think, I don't know, maybe it's easy for me because I did quit gluten when I was 23. So I have been so long without it. So I just know what to buy, kind of. You just learn. Terve hengessä vaeltaja. Hyvä, 3 days without caffeine. Jee, congrats. Onneksi olkoon. Hyvä. Hyvä, hyvä. Juhu, hipi. Ei muuta kuin eteenpäin, sanoo Anni. Hyvä hengessä vaeltaja. Yes. But definitely, if you have any good food recipes and you are in my Discord, please share those in the food group because I'm excited to learn all kind of new recipes because I'm not really good cook. I'm not really good at making food, but I will learn. I will learn because, I can do the basics pretty much, chicken, some veggies in the frying pan. Then I use coconut cream sometimes because now when I don't use dairy cream because it was all just too much calories anyway because I was drinking that raw milk and putting cream in the sauces and I was just getting too much calories anyway. So now I just use, instead of that, coconut cream. So that is just pure coconut and water. Very high protein pizza. Eggs, cooked chicken breast and eggs. then spread out a pizza tray. Wow, eggs, really. I don't know. I have never put eggs in the pizza. Wow, maybe I should try. I don't know. It doesn't sound so good for me, but yeah, I will definitely try that. I could put chicken in the pizza, but not eggs. I'm more like a, I don't know. My favorite pizza is, of course, cheese, but now I'm just not having that. So ham and ananas and then kebab and some mushrooms. That's my favorite pizza. Mikä sinun lempipizzasi on? What is your favorite pizza if you're listening this? Joo. Now it's Friday. Usually Friday is a pizza Friday. Yleensä perjantai on pizza perjantai ollut mulla. Mutta tänään ei ole. Tänään oli pientä särkyä jaloissa liikkuessa ja normaalia, vain hieman väsynempi olo, mutta aika miedoilla oireilla on onneksi tähän mennessä päässyt. No hyvä. Se on hienoa ja siitä vaan eteenpäin. Paljon vettä vaan muista juua ja ottaa rennosti, jos pystyt. Tietenkin tiedän, että voi olla haastavaa, kun sulla on se pieni siellä, mutta kyllä sinä hyvin pärjäät. Hyvin sinä pärjäät. Päivä kerrallaan eteenpäin. Ja omaa kehoa kuunnellen. Yes, you're mixing the chicks and eggs to basically make the pizza dough. Yes. Tonnikala, katkarapu, oliivi on paras. Joo, se on kyllä hyvä. Joo, kyllä. Mulla oli kans katkarapu ja tonnikala yksi kerta, tai yhdessä kerrassa. Mä en tiedä yhdessä kerrassa, mutta siis söin yhdesti semmoisen pizzan ja tykkäsin siitä. I also like a tuna fish. Now I don't like so much that. Mikä on katkarapu? Is it just shrimps? But olives, I like olives. I use olive oil also with cooking. Olive oil and coconut oil is something that I like to use with the cooking. So yes, and with the salad. Yeah, and you don't have to buy like those processed salad sauce. You can make really good salad sauce just with the olive oil and salt. Olive oil and salt, and then if you want to make a good salad, you can just put that. Yes, shrimps. Yes. I had one point that I was eating more shrimps, but now I don't know. It just started to not do well. People tell me to buy chicken in a can, but I've been skeptical, but will make it way easier. In a can. Wow. I haven't never buy chicken in a can. Never. I'm skeptical, Doski, definitely. Also, some also canned tune sometimes, but I buy chicken only, those natural chicken that there is not any marinade in those. I just buy the natural and then I just cook them. Cook them with the olive oil or coconut oil, and then I put a little bit coconut cream and salt and garlic, and if I wanna add, I put also something like red onions and whatever spices I want. But usually spices that I use is pretty much garlic and salt. That's my favorite spices. But yeah, I don't know what spices you. Hey, and if you have sensitized nervous system or I should say more like regulating nervous system, going back to regulation. So I did experience that even sometimes if I was trying to chili sauce in the journey or something, it didn't have to be as simple as garlic. I couldn't handle that. My nervous system couldn't handle that. And I was like, this is weird. But now I can handle like easily. Like onions. Yeah, they have chicken in a can that only has chicken, salt, and water. But yeah, skeptical they hide something in there. Yes. Who knows? Who knows in this world what they put all in those foods? Yeah, that's why the best way is if you just like buy the most natural ingredients and then you make the food yourself. So that's, I think, the simplest way. Of course, sometimes you wanna go out to eat, and then when you heal, it's lovely that you can do that without worrying. But I still kind of always checking the labels. Even still in restaurants, I had that habit. It's still my habit. I always kind of ask, like, if there is certain food that I don't know what it contains, I kind of ask what it contains, and they will tell what it contains. So it kind of did get my habit when I was in the recovery and I was so sensitive. So if I did go to the restaurant, I always had to ask, like, hey, what do you put in this and this and this? But yeah, it's all good. 8 people here. Yippee. Do you still like to watch my videos? Hope you do. Yes, but did I have anything other to say? Olikohan mulla mitään muuta? Mä voisin rukoilla I could just pray in the last before I end. And then I will go. And guys, we see next Monday in Discord, some of you. So welcome, welcome. So I will just now pray the Lord's Prayer in the end. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be the name. The kingdom come, the will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. And you can find this Lord's Prayer in the Matthew 6 in the Bible. There is where you can find 9:30. So, guys, I think I let you go now, and hope you did enjoy this presentation or this live. And I'm doing this because I know that you sometimes need to have this reassurance, and I'm so excited for many of you who are on this journey. You're gonna feel so good. You're gonna, and that's why I'm excited for you. And please, I know some of you know who this is for, and this is for pretty much everyone. Like, when you do get healed, please do some kind of update. Those of you who are in this journey with me and have been like around your 5 years over that, please do some kind of update, at least for Discord or somewhere in my videos, so I know how are you doing there. So please update then, and it helps other people's too when they know where you are. So all right, guys, see you. Have a good one. Yes, have a good one.